When I was about 12 years old, my family moved into this old house on the edge of town. It wasn't a mansion or anything fancy, just a two-story wooden house with peeling paint, cracked windows, and floors that creaked even when no one was walking on them. You know the type, the kind of house that looks fine in the daylight, but once the sun goes down, it starts to feel like it's breathing, like it's watching you. I remember the first day we walked inside. The air smelled stale, like wet dirt and old wood. My mom tried to make it sound exciting, saying, "It's got character." But to me it felt wrong, like we were trespassing. The living room was dim, even when all the lights were on. The wallpaper was peeling in long curls. Upstairs there were 3 bedrooms, one for my mom, one for my little sister, and one for me. Mine was at the very end of the hall. And I swear to you, the second I stepped into that room, I felt this chill crawl up my spine, not from the air, but from inside me, like my body knew something that my brain couldn't process yet. I remember the closet first. It wasn't just a closet, it was deep, too deep for a house that size, like someone had carved out extra space behind the walls. It went back farther than it should have, and when you looked into it, it was just black. Even with a flashlight, it felt like the darkness ate the light whole. I used to joke to myself that if you crawled far enough, you'd end up in another house or maybe another world. But honestly, I hated looking at it. I hated knowing it was in the same room as me. Now, the first couple of nights were normal, at least as normal as they could be in a place like that. But on the 3rd night, that's when it started. I was lying in bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars on my ceiling. I couldn't sleep. The house was too loud, groaning, settling, cracking in ways I couldn't get used to. I kept telling myself, it's just an old house. That's what Mom said. But then I noticed something. The shadows on my wall. They moved when the wind blew outside, sure. But one shadow didn't move. It was down low, near my closet. At first, I thought it was a pile of my clothes. I almost laughed at myself. But then, right in front of my eyes, it shifted, like it was leaning forward. And then it was gone. I froze. I couldn't scream. I couldn't even breathe. I yanked the blanket over my head like that thin piece of fabric could save me from whatever was in my room. Eventually, I fell asleep. The next morning, I tried to shake it off, but when I looked at my closet, the door was cracked open, and my toy chest, something I always kept closed because my mom hated when toys spilled out, was wide open, as if someone had been rummaging through it. I shut it, didn't tell a word to anyone. Because deep down, I already knew Mom wouldn't believe me. About a week later, my little sister, she was only 6 at the time, said something that froze me to the bone. She was sitting at the breakfast table, munching on cereal, when she looked at Mom and said, "I don't like the man in the closet." I remember dropping my spoon. The way she said it, so casual, like she was talking about a cartoon character she didn't like. Mom just brushed it off, saying, "Oh, honey, kids imagine things." But I saw my sister's face. She wasn't imagining. She meant it. She said he would stand inside the closet at night and whisper, but she could never understand the words. That night, Mom tucked her in, said a prayer with her, and turned off the light. She didn't even check the closet. But I did. Later, when the house was quiet, I stood in her doorway, staring at that closet. It looked so normal, but I swear I could feel eyes staring back at me from the dark. A few nights after that, it got worse. I woke up to this sound, dragging, slow, deliberate, like fingernails being pulled across wood. It moved across my floor, closer, closer, until it stopped right beside my bed. I didn't dare look over. I knew if I did, I'd see something staring up at me, so I stayed frozen, clutching the blanket until I eventually passed out from exhaustion. The next morning, I saw them. Scratches, long, fresh scratches, carved deep into the wood right beside my bed. I ran to show my mom, but she got angry, said I must have been dragging furniture or messing around with something sharp. I swore I didn't, but she didn't believe me. That's when I realized we were on our own. From that point on, every night was worse. The whispers started, soft at first, almost like a radio on low volume, always from the closet. Sometimes my sister would wake up crying, pointing at the corner of her room and screaming, "He's there! He's there!" And though I never saw him directly, I knew she wasn't lying, because I could feel it too. That prickling sensation on your skin when you're being watched. That choking fear that makes it impossible to move. Then came the night that changed everything. It was winter, the coldest I can remember. I woke up, and for some reason, my bedroom door was open wide. I never slept with it open. The hallway light was on, like always, but as I watched, the bulb flickered and went out. Then came the footsteps, slow, heavy, one after another, echoing down the hall. They stopped, right outside my door. I couldn't scream. I couldn't even breathe. The door creaked, and a tall, dark shape leaned in. Only its head peeking into my room. I shut my eyes, heart pounding so loud I thought it would explode. When I opened them again, the door was closed, and I was alone. The next morning, I asked my mom if she had come into my room that night. She said no, she'd been asleep. But my sister? She said she saw him too, standing by her bed. That's when Mom finally looked worried. She lit a candle, said a prayer in every room of the house, and for a little while, things went quiet. But it didn't last. One afternoon, I came home from school before anyone else. The house was dead silent. I sat on the couch doing homework when I heard it. Slam! The sound of my toy chest upstairs, slamming shut. The thing is, nobody else was home. My heart started racing. I told myself it was just the wind, but when I walked down the hall toward my room, I saw it. My bedroom door was open wide, the toy chest was closed, but every single toy I owned was scattered across the floor, like someone had dumped them out. I didn't step inside. I backed away, ran outside, and sat on the porch until my mom came home. When I told her, she didn't believe me, said maybe the cat had knocked things over, but we both knew the cat couldn't open a toy chest. Years later, after we finally moved out, I asked my mom straight up, "Did you ever see anything in that house?" She hesitated. Then she admitted it. She said sometimes she would wake up and see a shadow standing in her doorway, watching her. She never told us because she didn't want to scare us, but she admitted she believed there was something in that house. She thought it was a man, someone who used to live there. She never said much more. But I know what I saw, and I know what my sister saw. Even now as an adult, when I think about that house, I feel sick to my stomach, because I know it wasn't my imagination. It was real, and it wanted us to know it was there. And sometimes, when the night is quiet and I can't sleep, I still hear it. That sound of nails dragging.
Listen carefully. If you thought what I told you before was terrifying, you have no idea what's coming next. Because from that night onward, my life stopped being my own. The house, the shadows, the voice in the dark, they all grew louder, stronger, and more real. I need you to imagine this with me. Every single sound in the house turned into a threat. The creak of a floorboard, the faint whistle of the wind through a broken window, even the hum of the fridge. They weren't just sounds anymore. They were signals, warnings, signs that something was moving closer. At first, I thought maybe I was losing my mind. Maybe it was stress or lack of sleep. But then I realized it wasn't just me. The presence takes hold. One night, my phone buzzed. A message popped up from an unknown number. It said, "I see you." No name, no contact picture, just those 3 words. I froze. My stomach dropped. Because the thing is, I was alone in my room, but the curtains were drawn, the lights were off, and I had told no one I was home. Nobody should have known. And then another message came. Don't turn around. You know what it's like when your skin crawls? When every single nerve in your body screams at you that something is wrong? That's what I felt. And of course, I turned. There, standing in the farthest corner of my room, was the silhouette. Taller than any man should be. Shoulders too wide, head tilted unnaturally. It didn't move, didn't breathe, it just stood there. I blinked, and it was gone. But the phone buzzed again. Told you not to. Escalation. From that moment, I couldn't escape it. Every mirror in the house started showing me things that weren't there. Sometimes my reflection smiled when I didn't. Sometimes there were shapes moving behind me in the glass, even though the room was empty. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. My friends noticed, but what could I tell them? Hey, I'm being haunted by something I can't explain. They think I was crazy. But then it started touching reality. One night, my best friend came over. He was sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone, when he froze. His face went pale, and he whispered, "Who's that behind you?" There was no one there. But the look in his eyes told me he wasn't joking. He left that night and never came back. He won't answer my calls anymore. That's when I knew this thing wasn't just in my head. The whispers began soon after. At first, they were faint, just at the edge of hearing, like someone mumbling in another room. But the words grew clearer over time. Leave. Mine. Stay forever. They came from the walls, from the vents, even from inside the drains. And the worst part? Sometimes they used my own voice. One night, lying in bed, I heard my voice, my exact voice, whisper, "You can't escape." Do you know what it feels like to hear yourself talking when you're not? It's not just fear, it's violation. It's like your own identity is being stolen piece by piece. Breaking point. I tried to fight back. I did research, looked up everything. Demons, spirits, sleep paralysis, psychosis. I bought sage, salt, holy water, even called a priest. None of it worked. In fact, the more I fought, the stronger it became. Lights flickered constantly. Doors slammed shut behind me. I'd wake up with scratches across my arms, my chest, even my face, deep ones, too deep to be accidents. And then one night, it spoke clearly. Not whispers, not mumbling, but a voice, low, guttural, echoing from every corner of the room. You invited me. You can't send me away. I screamed, I begged, I prayed, but nothing stopped it. The descent. Days blurred together. I stopped leaving the house. Shadows followed me wherever I went. I'd catch glimpses of it standing just beyond doorways or crawling across the ceiling like some nightmare insect. The air grew heavy, thick. Breathing felt like drowning. And then one night, it came closer than ever before. I woke up to find it standing right at the edge of my bed. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Its face was inches from mine, but it had no features, just blackness, a void. It pressed its hand against my chest, and I swear I felt my heartbeat stop for a second. The world tilted. Darkness swallowed me whole. The other side. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in my room anymore. I was somewhere else, a place that looked like my house, but wrong. The walls were rotting, the floors soaked in black water, and the windows showed nothing but endless night. And the whispers were louder than ever. Hundreds of voices, all screaming, all laughing, all calling my name. I realized then I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't hallucinating. I had been dragged into its world. And once you're there, it doesn't let you go. The fight. I don't remember how long I was stuck there. Time doesn't work the same in that place. Could have been hours, could have been years, but I fought. I clawed, I screamed, I ran through endless corridors that twisted and turned, leading me back to the same place every time. The house, the rotten, twisted version of my house, and it was always there, watching, following, sometimes walking, sometimes crawling, sometimes standing perfectly still with its head tilted. I thought I'd never escape until I remembered something it had said. You invited me. That meant maybe, just maybe, I could uninvite it. The ritual. I don't know how I did it. Maybe it was desperation. Maybe it was instinct. But I screamed at it. Every memory of pain, every ounce of rage I knew. I told it it didn't own me, that it couldn't keep me, that I refused to stay. The walls shook. The whispers grew deafening. The shadows swarmed closer. And then, silence. For the first time in what felt like forever, there was silence. The house cracked, splintered, collapsed into blackness, and I woke up. The return. I was back in my bed, back in my room, but everything felt different, colder, heavier. I thought maybe I had escaped, that it was finally over. But then, my phone buzzed. One last message. See you soon. The end? So now, I'm here, telling you this story. Not because I want to scare you, but because I need you to understand. If you ever feel like something's watching you, if you ever hear whispers when you're alone, if you ever see a shadow in the corner of your room that doesn't belong, don't ignore it, because once it chooses you, there's no way back. And maybe, just maybe, it's already listening to you right now.